This video is designed to show you how misinformation is spread and causes harm to others. This video will also show you how people do not understand correlation versus causation. Not understanding correlation versus causation leads to rumors, misinformation, bad advice, and can result in people harming their well-being. You are probably wondering who I am. I am a person who has been practicing health and fitness for over 20 years. I have also lost 192 pounds, and I am a biochemist. I hope you enjoy the video and hopefully you will see the problem with Freelee. Let the video begin.
Now this is an amazing testimonial. This is a video from Lily from Legit Nutrition Hawaii. Absolutely incredible. Thank you so much, Lily.
We will go back 7 years to when Lily was 20. I was living in New Zealand. I had a great job working as a produce manager at a local organic health food store. I lived in a cute little flat with 2 awesome roommates. Things were going well, except that 2 years previously I had finally been diagnosed as hypothyroid. I say finally because since I was 12 or 13, something had just been wrong with me. And I think that the thing that was wrong with me was that when I was 12, I realized that I was pudgy. Now this was humiliating and mortifying for me at that age, so I started reading things like Shake Magazine, Fitness Magazine, and I started changing my diet. And what all of those resources told me to do was to drastically cut the amount of calories that I was eating and exercise more. So that's what I did. From 12 years old, I decided that 1,200 calories a day was what I should be eating.
A lot of people make that mistake. They constantly undereat to lose weight. It can lead to severe hormonal and metabolic problems. The problem is that you were misinformed and many others are as well. It is a terrible thing that people trust others and follow other people's bad advice. I have believed other people's nonsense as well. My goal is to rid the health and fitness industry of nonsense. That is why I am making this video. Some of the nonsense I used to believe was alkalizing the body, detoxing, vegan and raw food diets. In regards to the diets, I say they are nonsense because people who follow diets like the ones mentioned swear they are the ultimate diet for health. They make all these false health claims that are not true. That is highly misleading and harmful.
And that was when I started the cycle of restricting my calories. I'd lose a little bit of weight, I'd feel encouraged, and then I would lose my willpower, binge, hate myself, gain weight, hate myself more, and then just keep going back and forth on this cycle of severe restriction and binging and eventually purging. And so when I was around 15, I started having symptoms like constant fatigue. I started having really bad hypoglycemia, although I had no idea what it was at the time. I just thought I was lazy. And I started sinking into a really deep depression, which had other causes as well, don't get me wrong, but I know now that a big part of that was that my brain didn't have what it needed to function. So fast forward to age 20, I was 2 years into my hypothyroid diagnosis, and because the doctors had told me, oh, just take this pill for the rest of your life, I decided to go see a naturopath to see if they could help me out anymore.
This is where the story starts to get ugly. She went against her doctor's advice and decided to pursue a natural approach. Natural and veganism are strongly related. Freelee makes claims that being a raw vegan can cure you of many diseases. This reminds me of Jen's journey. She was a vegan who had cancer. Take note, vegans get cancer as well. Jen went against her doctor's advice and decided to pursue a natural treatment as well. This is how strongly people believe the nonsense that is spread in the vegan community. Many are highly brainwashed. The lady in this video is highly brainwashed, you will see later. In regards to Jen, she ended up passing away.
And also save myself from starting the awful hypoglycemia roller coaster early in the day. I would have like 2 eggs. I was allowed like 1 green apple a day. So I would eat this meal and then 2 hours later feel horrible, so I would have to eat again, and then 2 hours later I'd feel horrible, and then I would have to eat again, and 2 hours later I would feel horrible. So there was this constant push and pull between, Lily, don't eat these calories, you shouldn't be eating this many calories, and oh my god, I feel like I'm gonna faint if I don't eat. And then I would manage to do this like gross low carbohydrate, low calorie diet for so long until I would just get too hungry and too frustrated, and then I would binge, and then I would purge, and then I would hate myself. It really upsets me to even think about this time because it makes me so sad for myself and so angry. Which brings us to the night that I was 25 days into a 30-day no sugar Candida cleanse.
You know where I first heard about a Candida cleanse? In a vegan book. The book was titled, The pH Miracle. The point I am bringing to your attention is that this woman did a Candida cleanse, which can also be found in a vegan book. If she went to the vegans who wrote The pH Miracle, she would have done a Candida cleanse as well, and she would have also felt like shit. The reason she felt like shit is because she was not eating enough. I have read through the scientific literature and I have found no support for detoxing or any type of cleansing. You know who also supports cleanses? Freelee the banana girl. Let's take a look at her website. Please take note of the website. It is Freelee's website. Notice number 12. She states that you need to eat raw once a week to give your body a cleanse. As already discussed, cleanses are nonsense. Also look at number 13. She states you can eat unlimited carbs. That is absolutely false. There are countless of people who have followed Freelee's advice and have gained weight. She claims that carbs do not turn into fat. Once again, this is absolutely false. There is a process called de novo lipogenesis which converts carbs into fat. It is mostly predominant in animals. Thus it was believed it does not occur in humans. That is also false. When you consume a lot of carbohydrates, the de novo lipogenesis metabolic process is upregulated and turns carbs into fat.
I wasn't even allowed to have the one green apple a day. It was literally no fruit. And I remember those days where I would have to go to work, and then I would always walk home from work to save on bus fare because I had no money because I had paid all of my money to my naturopath. So I got home and I felt so hopeless and so exhausted because this stupid Candida cleanse, this low calorie, absolutely no carbohydrates, I had done everything right diet was supposed to be the thing that was going to fix me. And I felt worse than I ever had. And I remember sitting down on my bed and looking at myself in the mirror and saying, this is it. I cannot do this anymore. And I said, 7 days, I'm giving you 7 days to find something that makes you feel better. Or I have to kill myself because I can't take this anymore. And I remember thinking about my parents and my boyfriend and how awful it was going to be for all of them to live through me doing that. And I thought about never seeing my dogs again and trying to decide like how I was going to do it so that it wouldn't hurt.
There was a point I was hopeless in my life and nothing was working as well. When I was 400 pounds I was lying in bed with chest pains knowing something had to change. I was just so tired of trying to lose weight. I told myself that I will try to lose weight one more time. If I failed I would have to accept my obesity. I have a friend who has lost 300 pounds. He was contemplating suicide as well. He was sitting at home on his couch with a gun in his hand thinking about how not to make a mess when he shot himself. I can say with 100% certainty that if I or my friend did a raw food diet, a diet that Freelee suggests, that we would not be here today. I know this because I have tried raw in the past. It is highly unsustainable for most people. Thus if we cannot sustain it we would have failed and that would have been the end.
And how I was going to do it so that, when my roommates found me, it wasn't horribly traumatic for them. And I was thinking about how much of a relief it would finally be not to have to wake up feeling the way I felt every morning and being trapped in this body that was betraying me while my health just eroded out from under my feet when I was doing everything that I possibly could. So I knew I had 7 days, and I went to sleep, and I got up the next couple days and I went to work, and then I came home, and then I just dedicated myself to doing research as much as I could to try to find something that would put me back together again. And 3 days later, I found a video by Freelee, and she was saying pretty much the opposite of everything I had ever been told. And at this point, Freelee only had like maybe a dozen videos. I remember watching those and feeling hopeful, and yet at the same time apprehensive, because every other diet plan that I had ever tried had just thrown me under the bus even more. I went to work the next day, and I was a freaking produce manager, so it was perfect. And I completely changed my diet. I cut out all the fat, I cut out all the extra protein. And I remember it wasn't but 2 fucking days later of feeding my body what it needed, carbohydrates.
Recall that she said she cut out all the fat from her diet. Fat is highly important for fat-soluble vitamins and hormonal functions. Now here is the real issue with this woman. She felt so much better when she ate more calories. She completely missed the point of why she felt better. She felt better because she ate more calories. It had nothing to do with the diet Freelee preaches. Recall, I have been in the health and fitness industry for over 20 years. I have seen stories like these countless times. There are a lot of women who believe they have to eat 1,200 calories a day. They all feel like shit for the most part. When they increase their calories, they feel better. This means that she could have just ate more of the foods she was currently eating and felt better. Once again, it had nothing to do with Freelee's diet.
That I felt like a new fucking person. So I kept up with it, mostly just relieved that I didn't have to fucking kill myself anymore. And 2 months into this diet, I went to go see my naturopath and told her that I went off all of the supplements and medications and that I felt great doing the exact opposite that she had told me, and she dismissed me as a client because I was non-compliant. Best thing that could have happened. So since that time, 7 years ago, like obviously a lot of things have happened. Freelee's channel and, persona just exploded. That girl gave me every single piece of information I needed to turn my life around for myself.
Oh my fucking god, I hope you guys can see the problem here. She completely misinterpreted why she got better, and now she is giving all this praise to Freelee. It has already been proven Freelee preaches nonsense. Freelee also states that if you eat animal products that you will die of heart disease, get high cholesterol, suffer from diabetes and get cancer. Does everyone who eat animal products suffers from the health conditions she says? Obviously not. Animal products have nothing to do with those health conditions. There are other contributing factors besides animal products. Freelee is fear-mongering people. It is no different than low-carb authorities fear-mongering people about carbohydrates. What Freelee says is highly inaccurate and misleading. Wasn't it inaccurate information that got this woman in trouble in the first place? Now she is doing the same to others as what was done to her. It's pure irony. I actually left a comment on the original woman's video. My comment said that she is causing more harm than good, and how a raw diet does not work for everyone. In most cases it is highly unsustainable. A girl left a reply to my comment. Her comment said, "Your metabolism was highly damaged. You should give a raw diet a year. That is how long you might need to repair your metabolism." This girl's comment is such nonsense as well. You know where she got this nonsense from? Freelee. There is no scientific evidence that supports metabolic damage. Imagine you are sitting there and gaining weight on a raw food diet, but you tell yourself, "I am gaining weight on a raw food diet, but I will wait a year to see if this diet works." What her comment said is obviously very ridiculous. This ridiculousness came from Freelee. To take such advice from someone like Freelee will more than likely harm you emotionally and physically. Freelee harms and hurts people in the long run. She might help a few people here and there, but it is by coincidence. But as stated previously, the people who do get results do not know why or how they happened if they listen to Freelee. It is just like people who do low-carb diets and say low-carb diets burn more fat. Sure, they might have lost some fat, but that does not mean they know how they lost it. This is the same situation as with Freelee.
Telling the actual goddamn truth and have the fucking results to back it up.
Nothing can be further from the truth than the statement Freelee tells the truth. Do you see how this girl is brainwashed? This also shows an example of irrational logic. She said, Freelee has results to back it up. There are countless of people who has lost more weight than Freelee and have never done a raw food diet. Most of the people who lost more weight than Freelee are not even vegan. I have lost a shitload of more weight than Freelee and I eat animal products. I guess you should eat animal products now. Do you see how irrational her comment was?
What do? Instead of actually worrying about not just their own health, but about the health of the millions upon millions of their followers, the young girls that don't know any better. What do? They try to silence the person that's telling the truth, to protect their profits, not your health. The only thing that Cassie has done by starting all of this copyright bullshit with Freelee is proven to her followers that she does not give one shit about them. She cares about her business. She cares about her reputation. She cares about her profits. She doesn't care about you. She doesn't care about the people like me sitting in my bedroom floor trying to plan my suicide because the diets weren't working. And that kind of despicably selfish behavior is fucking inexcusable. And that's the thing that's getting lost in this whole bullshit thing. Oh, Freelee, you're a bully. It's like, for fuck's sake, would you step back for 1 second and realize that it's not about you. It's about the young, vulnerable, impressionable, naive kids that are listening to your fucking irresponsible message and taking that shit to heart.
You are absolutely right. That is why I am making this video, but you are mistaken about one thing. It is Freelee spreading the irresponsible message. You think it is healthy for someone to be stuffing their face with food all day? That is gluttony and can lead to eating disorders. Let's pretend I watched Freelee's videos when I was younger and impressionable by bullshit. As I watch her videos I would think, I get to eat all the carbs I want if I only eat carbs. I would try her diet and stuff my face all day and night with carbs. I will get fat, no question about that. It has happened to many others. My mum cooks some very good meat dishes and I know I would give in. I would feel bad and guilty and start to experience negative emotions around food. Do you think this is right? Once again, Freelee harms people. I have seen it countless times. A big problem with people and weight loss is they feel terrible and even suicidal if they are not successful. A raw vegan diet is extremely restrictive. How can the majority of people stick to something so restrictive? For most people it will end in failure. For some, it might even end in suicide.
Like me, when I was 13 years old, trying to eat your stupid 1600 calorie a day diet and digging my own fucking grave with it.
What propaganda bullshit. Now she eats 1600 calories? I thought it was 1200. Sounds a bit inconsistent with the story. The reason I said it was propaganda bullshit was because she said she was digging her own grave with a 1600 calorie a day diet. I will assume she is implying that animal products kill us. Truthfully, vegans really do not live longer than non-vegans. Once again it is more bullshit and false health claims from vegans. Remember that bullshit and false claims are the problem in the health and fitness industry. I thought this video was about helping other people, and not about a vegan agenda. I believe my point has been made. I will cut the video at this point. I want to make it clear that I am not against vegans. I am against false claims. If a meat eater was making false claims I would make a similar video as well. I provide claims that are backed by science and not by bullshit or nonsense. I would like to tell you a little bit more about myself so you can see where I am coming from. I have struggled for many years with my weight. My weight has kept me from achieving some very important goals in my life. I know how traumatic and frustrating it can be to lose weight. I do not wish the struggles I had on anyone. The number one thing that held me back in my weight loss was misinformation. Misinformation can be very harmful. Do you remember Jen, the woman who had cancer? I can promise you she could have lived a longer life. She could have lived a longer life if she got the bullshit and misinformation out of her head. The people who spread nonsense and bullshit are Freelee, Vegan Gains, Dr. Mercola, Dr. Campbell, Dr. McDougall, Dr. Greger, Gary Taubes, and Dr. Atkins. These are the ones I can think of off the top of my head right now. Some preach high-carb low-fat diets, while others preach high-fat low-carb diets. Do you know what they all have in common despite the extremities of their approach? What they all have in common is extreme diets. They say to be healthy you have to cut out one food group or another. The bottom line is that you have to find something that works for you. It might be a high-carb diet, it might be a low-carb diet. Who knows? It's something you have to find out for yourself. Just because a diet works for you, that does not mean it will work for everyone else. There is not a one-size-fits-all approach. I will now leave you with a video clip of Freelee from the YouTube channel Red Pill Philosophy. The video is to demonstrate to you that Freelee does not really care about people. She wishes harm on people. She wishes harm on people who eat meat. No one who has a sane mind would wish harm on people because they do not agree with your beliefs. I honestly believe she is mentally unstable. Here is the video.
And people kind of just treat it like, you know, it's just like a casual thing, like anyone can, you know, you can make your choice, I'll make mine. It's like, you shouldn't have the choice. You should be forced to be vegan. It's like, you shouldn't have the choice. You should be forced to be vegan. It's like, you shouldn't have the choice. You should be forced to be vegan.
Ah, yes, forced to be vegan. We all know what Freelee fantasizes about in her ideal world. And in her utopia, all meat eaters will be forced into re-education concentration camps, where they will be force-fed bananas like ducks are force-fed grains for foie gras. And she will be the ruling queen of this matriarchy. And what will be the punishment for meat eaters who don't conform? They will be fed to the lions, or to the sharks, or to all the other meat-eating animals, who are apparently excused by Freelee for their own violent behavior.